What's up, everybody? Damon here, and for today's Daily Fix we have Nintendo does not feel like sharing its tariff refunds with you, and we know exactly when the next Witcher 3 expansion will be revealed. This is your Daily Fix. Presented by Universal Orlando Resort and its newest theme park, Universal Epic Universe. Nintendo might be receiving a refund for the money it spent on US tariffs, but it claims it's under no obligation to pass that money back to consumers, even though they paid higher prices for Switch 2 products. Shortly before launch last year, Nintendo raised the price of Switch 2 accessories and announced a price rise for the original Switch. The company, like every electronics manufacturer, has seen its financial margins under pressure due to rising component prices and, last year, the US tariffs rolled out by the Trump administration. Switch 2 pre-orders in the US and Canada were even delayed as a result. A year later, and the US Supreme Court has now deemed those tariffs were illegal, with refunds promised to businesses who paid them from a collective $160 billion tariff refund. But what about the consumers who paid more in response to the tariffs? A proposed class action lawsuit is brewing, calling for Nintendo to share its refund with Switch customers, but the company itself has said it has no reason to do so. As reported by GameFile, Nintendo has asked for the proposed legal action to be dismissed, as customers, quote, received exactly what they bargained and paid for. In other words, it was the customer's decision to buy a product at the stated price at the time, regardless of the reasons why that price was what it was. Nintendo wrote, "The common thread among plaintiffs' claims is that it is somehow unfair that Nintendo has not retroactively adjusted its prices for completed sales in response to the outcome of the tariff litigation. But that is not how commercial transactions work. Nintendo or one of its retailers set a price for each product, and consumers decided whether that price was worth paying. Those who bought Nintendo's products received exactly what they bargained and paid for, a console, game, and/or accessory at a price to which both parties agreed. The money plaintiffs paid represents the purchase price of the goods they wanted and received. Plaintiffs are not entitled to a rebate simply because of intervening legal developments related to tariffs." Nintendo goes on to argue that it raised the cost of Switch accessories and consoles due to a myriad of reasons, not just tariffs, including the cost of memory, labor, and shipping. It also absorbed all the impact of tariffs on the Switch 2, which remains at its launch price today, though it will very shortly be going up in cost. The company continued, "Unlike many of its market peers, Nintendo did not simply increase each product's price by the amount of tariffs it paid on that product or impose an across-the-board tariff surcharge. Instead, Nintendo imposed modest and selective price adjustments, and it chose to bear the cost of tariffs on some of its most popular products of 2025, including its flagship console, the Nintendo Switch 2. If a consumer did not want to pay the advertised price, they were free to abstain from purchasing the product or seek out competing products." A judge will now rule on whether to allow the proposed class action suit to continue or side with Nintendo and have it dismissed. Moving on, the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Songs of the Past will be revealed at Gamescom next month during Opening Night Live. Songs of the Past is the third expansion for CD Projekt's fantasy masterpiece and is due out in 2027, 12 years after the original game and 11 years after the much-loved second expansion, Blood and Wine. We should expect it to be about the same size as Blood and Wine as well. CD Projekt said it is co-developing the expansion with Fool's Theory, a team comprising industry veterans who worked on The Witcher 3. Songs of the Past will help set the stage for the upcoming Witcher 4. Gamescom Opening Night Live will take place on August 25th. And that is your Daily Fix for Tuesday, July 21st. Now that you're caught up on the news, watch our Splatoon Raiders review. I'm Damon Hatfield, and for all your video game news, stay tuned to IGN.